your lake photos feel flat or random, it's usually your composition, not your camera. In the next few minutes, I'll show you 3 setups plus a bonus tip that always works when taking photos at the lake. Let's get to it. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Shelby. I make 1 weekly landscape and architectural videos for beginners who are ready to master their in-the-field settings and composition. Welcome back to the channel. Leading lines. Leading lines is the simplest way to lead the eye and get them to focus on whatever subject in your composition. 2 things about leading lines. Make sure you stay low and make sure you bind those edges. Make sure there's no cropped post or no cropped docks, for example, if you're shooting from a dock. Let me show you how I got this beautiful photo on this dock. So there's 2 rules to keep this clean, right? You want to keep the camera level so vertical posts don't lean, and you want to mind the edges, no chopped posts or half bolts in the frame or frame borders, right? So here's some settings you can still, I wrote them down for you. I like to go with aperture priority mode. I like to do f8, for front to back detail. Auto ISO, make sure you cap it at around 800 if you can, and that's only so you don't blow out those highlights and you'll be able to edit them back and post again. Now, the low light reflection hero shot. This shot that most beginners skip, right? You drop the camera low, knee height or even lower. Most people don't like that, right? So that's why a lot of people skip it. When it comes to these low light reflection shots, right, you want to make sure you level the horizontally carefully. Even a 1 degree shift can really mess things up, right? You want to compose the horizon on the upper thirds of the composition. If you want the lake to feel huge, you can put it in the lower thirds, right? And you can have the sky be a little more dramatic. In this case, see, in my frame, I kind of like to have things a little balanced here, right? Even amount of sky, even amount of water. So it kind of evens things out. Now, your polarizer. I'll give you a real life example. Watch this. It gets darker and lighter. This is exactly why you need a polarizer, so you don't be messing with the settings while you're out there in the field, especially when you're trying to keep your balance on those low light reflection shots, right? Now, some default settings for these low light reflection hero shots that I like to really keep locked in. I like to keep my aperture locked in at f8, and I like to have like an auto exposure value of -3 to +0.3, right? The white balance, you want to make sure you lock it at around 56 to 6,000 Kelvin so you don't have anything really blown out. Last shot, the foreground frame, aka frames within frames. Those are my favorite shots to do. Now, framing adds instant depth to your photos, right? It grabs the attention of the user on your foreframe or your foreground subject. It moves them to the middle ground, and then if your background is good enough, you have a really nice background to end the photo off, so that's a really good thing. Now, 2 tips when it comes to foreground shots, right? You want to shoot slightly across the light so that the frame has a little shape. You want to make sure it's not flat or just a silhouette, right? You want to pick one dominant subject, right? You're going to have a lot of foreground, a lot of background, but in your midground, you want to make sure your subject is very dominant. Here's an example right here. So settings for this, right? I like to keep my f-stop at like 4 to 5/6 to kind of blur the frame a little bit, but I also want to keep my subject sharp. You can kind of do this in post later, right, as well. If the frame is too distracting, you want to slide it further out, right, to kind of minimize those, foreground subjects all in your face like this. Here's a composition that I have absolutely been loving lately, and that's frames within the frames and a silhouette shot. My subject isn't here right now, but when she was there, I centered her in the middle of these trees like I am now. I got low and I took a photo. You want to expose for your sun, but you can't do too much since you're shooting directly at the sun. So that's where your polarizer filter comes into play. Just kind of a quick recap, right? So 3 rules to remember. You want to start your lines from the corner. You want to get really low for your reflections, and you want to expose for your highlights, and you want to fix the shadows later in post. All right, does this video help you out? Give me a like, comment, and subscribe. I do 1 weekly landscape and architectural video helping you with in the field settings. I'll see you guys in the next video.